guys, here come the dollies. They got fresh sinkers, hot coffee, and the sweetest smile.
Welcome back to the Clubmobile, everybody. We're so happy to have you joining us this morning.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back.
We have a really fun episode lined up for you guys today with a really fun guest. And joining us from Berlin is Emilia Quaye, and she is the director of Music Maestro, Please.
Thank you for joining us.
Thanks so much for joining us.
I am so excited to talk about your movie. I've been following, I think, relatively near the beginning of your Instagram account. This movie is so up my alley, so up my street. So for those that don't know, and I'm sad to say a lot of people in our group don't know yet, could you tell us a little about your film?
Yeah, sure. So first of all, thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to talk about this project and tell you all about it. So Music Maestro, Please is a 50-minute short film that is set in the 1940s, no particular year, but just 1940s in general, in a city like New York, also not a particular city, just to keep it a bit more open. And it's supposed to look and feel like an old Hollywood film from the early to mid 1940s, and have everything beautiful in it, like the beautiful clothes, the music of the time, and the overall feel and storytelling as well. The only difference or modern twist is that there's no segregation in it, and just no other form of discrimination. So we try to combine all the beautiful things of the 1940s with everything beautiful that we can enjoy today, basically. And it's a bit of a, this is how it could have been or should have been approach. Yeah.
That's amazing. I think that's absolutely what attracted me to the project, was that nothing like this has ever been done before. And because
true.
you've put it in that era.
Yeah.
And it absolutely hadn't been done in that era before. I think it's so interesting, and I think it's such a cool project. Yeah. A question I had personally was, in terms of the music, did you guys write the score yourselves, or was it something that was based upon just music of the time and you adjusted it?
No, so actually, the guy who's doing the music for the film is called David Hermlin, and he's a swing musician, also from Berlin, a friend of mine, and he does authentic 1930s and 1940s music. He has a whole band who's also part of the film, actually, and he also plays or acts in the film as well. And so he actually writes music that completely sounds like authentic music from the 1940s, but he writes his own music. So yeah, he also writes the score for our film, and so we use our own music as well.
Incredible.
I love that.
Yeah, incredible. Love that.
I love that.
So exciting.
What's your own filmmaking journey like? Is this your first film, like your first big film?
Yeah, this is actually the first film I ever directed. I'm actually, I study editing at a film university near Berlin.
Okay.
So yeah, I always just edited, whatever movies were made at my university that, the directing students made, which was a lot of fun. But then, like, after a few years, I just kind of felt like I wanted to make films that I was really passionate about, because all the other projects, I just did because it was part of my studies, but I was never really, into them. And there were so many topics that, interest me. So I was just thinking, because we have, in order to complete our bachelor's degree, we have to submit a final project, like our final film, that's what we call it. And for that, I was like, I really want to do something that I love. And so I started to think, maybe I could direct my own film, and maybe that could be fun as well. And I could do it, about a topic that really interests me. And so I just, because at the time, and I think that was in 2023, I watched a lot of films from the 1930s and 1940s. I was super into it, watched almost like a new film every day. And so after a while, I was like, maybe that could be fun to make a film in the style of the era, but just with a little bit of a different approach, because there are so many films from the time. So I feel like there doesn't need to be a new film that is just exactly like that. So yeah, that was kind of how this whole idea started. But yeah, that was the first film I directed. And I also wrote the script together with another person, and I also acted in the film. So yeah, a lot of first times for me.
Wow.
Well, of jobs to do.
Yeah,
Amazing.
I love that.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that you watched a bunch of the old classic Hollywood movies during your time for research for this. Have you always been interested in those kinds of movies? And do you have a favorite that you watched in order to research for this?
So I got into the whole 1940s aesthetic and like vintage in general like 10 years ago when I was 15. Because I started swing dancing with my best friend.
Oh, amazing.
And yeah, that was really what
So
got me
cool.
into it. Yeah. So the whole music and the dance and it was part of like this youth club who did this project for youngsters to get into swing music, and it also showed us some videos of the era because they're amazing dance videos. Maybe you know them as well. And when we watched that for the first time, we were 15. We've never seen anything like that before. We were just like, oh my gosh, they dressed so beautifully back then, and the way that the skirts were, moving in the movement, it was just so fascinating for us. So that's what really got us into the 1940s aesthetic, and then we started going to thrift shops, and then I started dressing vintage, like 1940s every day when I was like 17, I believe. So yeah, so that's what got me into the whole vintage world. And then with the music and the clothes also came the movies, because I feel like once you're in there, it's a whole lifestyle. I mean, you probably also, you can probably relate.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So it all belongs together, kind of. And I also, of course, love to see all the beautiful clothes in the movies and as an inspiration as well, So, yeah, so I feel like I started watching 1940s films maybe at the age of 17. But when I went to film school, that was really when I started to watch a lot of it, also for research purposes or, just because I was more getting into film in general.
Right.
Yeah.
Did you have a favorite that you watched?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So I feel like my biggest inspiration was definitely Stormy Weather. Have you seen
Love that movie.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah, so for those who don't know, Stormy Weather was like one of the biggest all-black films of the era. And it is a musical, and it's basically just one musical number after the other. So if you love 1940s music and just a show and the glamour, you should definitely watch that film. And it has a lot of black stars of the time as well. So we have Lena Horne, who's playing one of the main leading characters. And then there's also a scene with the Nicholas brothers, who I absolutely love, and Cab Calloway. So yeah, so that was definitely the biggest inspiration for my film.
Watch this movie. I have to watch this movie now.
It's on your list,
Gab. There's actually a really good version on YouTube, like it's in HD.
Yeah. They've colorized it as well at some point, but
do you feel like it loses something in the colorization?
Yeah.
I feel so, yeah.
Yeah.
I think it does.
That'd be like seeing The Thin Man in color. I just don't know that I could.
I have tried watching The Thin Man in color, and I can't get behind watching it in color. I just can't do it.
Really?
But no, I think Stormy Weather is on your list, Gabby. Emilia, I made Gabby a whole list of movies to watch. Like old Hollywood classic movies to watch.
I feel like at some point I had seen like, all the regulars, right?
Yeah.
But Winnie is deep down the rabbit hole.
Still deep in there.
Of old Hollywood movies that she said, I'm going to make you a list. So I've been working my way through the list over the last couple of years. And I still think that my favorites are the Thin Man movies. I mean,
because they're just so
I need
Because
to
they-
watch
fun
them.
and
I've
funny.
never seen the Thin Man movies actually.
They're so
Oh,
so
those are
good.
so great. Those are
The
like,
first and the second ones are great.
yeah,
Okay.
the last couple are good too, but there's like 6 of them, and they're like old
Yeah.
Hollywood detective films, but they're like he's very goofy, William Powell. He's very goofy.
He's
Oh, with
very
William
silly. He's
Powell.
very
Okay.
Yeah,
silly.
I
yeah.
need to watch that.
Yeah.
Are they from the 1930s?
Yes, they're
Yes,
from the
the first
30s
one
into the
was
40s. Yeah.
yeah,
So they, yeah, from like the late 30s into the mid
yeah,
40s, I
something
would
like
say.
that.
Okay, fun.
But-
Now I need
Yeah.
to add them to my list as well.
They're great
Add them to your
movies.
list. Yeah, excellent movies. And I think I also made Gabby watch like my favorites, like On the Town. I haven't made you watch Top Hat yet.
No.
Oh,
Top Hat
that's
is
also a great
excellent.
one.
I
Yeah.
But
love
we
Top
trade
Hat.
we trade
all-
off, right? So she gives me
Yeah.
old Hollywood movies to watch, and I make her watch like all the cult classics of the 90s
No, okay.
and the
also
80s.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
stuff like that.
in general, I feel like Fred Astaire movies were also a big inspiration for my film because I love everything with Fred Astaire in it. He's one of
He
my
was
favorites.
great. He was excellent.
He was so great.
I know everyone says there's nobody like this person, but there truly was not a talent like Fred. I would put Gene Kelly second, but
Mhm.
Fred was
Really?
always the top for me.
Yeah. Fred Astaire is also
honestly.
the top for me. Yeah.
Yeah. I know one thing we were really interested about with the movie was the costuming and the clothes. How easy was or rephrase
difficult.
it, how easy or difficult was it to source period accurate costumes?
Yeah. So, so I think one thing that people need to know, this whole film was low budget, obviously, a student film. So obviously we couldn't spend a lot of money on the costuming. And so the good thing is that I started collecting vintage at the age of 17, as I just said, and then I have lots of friends in the vintage community who were immediately like, hey, we can lend you things, no problem. So without them, this really couldn't have been possible. So we actually used like my whole vintage collection, and then I started collecting 1940s pieces for the film like about 2 to 3 years ago. So every time I went thrifting or I went to a flea market and I would find like a cheap piece of clothing from that era, no matter which size, I would just grab it. So that's how I collected the wardrobe for the film, basically. And then luckily, because I'm so connected in the vintage community, we had like a few shops who would help us out with like a few pieces here and there. There's this amazing woman called Gerlinde, and she has a huge collection. She collected like vintage for like over 30 years, I believe. So when she heard that I was doing this project and I got in contact with her, she was like, yes, I definitely want to support you. I would just give you all my like original 1930s and 40s jewelry items that are really rare, actually. I would just give it to you for free, you know. So yeah, that's how it was actually possible to do this film. And also, since I only have women's clothing, all my male friends had to help me out for the male costumes. So in the end, I think we only rented like 3 items in total from like a costume rental. Yeah,
That's really, really good.
That's
yeah, and we
incredible.
had 2 days with like 40 plus extras, so we had to source a lot of clothing, but yeah, all
Yeah.
made possible by my amazing friends.
That's amazing. That's incredible.
Yeah.
I
That's
love that so
great.
much.
It really stands
Yeah.
to the time of like wartime in the 40s and just make do, right?
Yeah.
Right.
People would
Yeah.
just make do. They would do what they had to. But I think
Yeah.
that's incredible. Do you have a favorite vintage item? Like when you go sourcing vintage clothing, if you go to a shop for yourself, do you have
Mhm.
like something specific that you're always looking for? Like, are you a hat person or jewelry?
I would say I'm definitely a hat person. I love the like huge halo hats and like
Yeah.
tilt
Yeah.
hats that sit, on your
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
on your head like that. And then I'm also a sucker for a good power suit. I love like the skirt suits of the 1940s. Like just in general, if you have like a huge 40s fedora or hat on and then like a suit, I feel like there's nothing else that makes me feel as powerful as this.
Oh, I love
You
that.
know, ensemble,
That's incredible.
because yeah, it's just
A
so
good
bold
hat.
and strong.
Right? A good hat can pull an outfit together. I'm starting to find that I really like brooches, like a
Yeah.
good accent brooch on the collar of a jacket or but I have no place to
Um,
wear that kind of stuff.
Wear
One
it.
of us
Could you imagine
like,
me?
"Oh,
Wait, could you
dear."
imagine me rolling up to work like that with just a big
I think you
thing,
should do it.
big thing on my
Yeah,
shirt?
why
think you
not?
should
Throw
do
it at
it.
once.
Listen, life is too short. Wear
That's
what you
true.
want, do what you want. Just do it. Who
Definitely.
cares?
Very true.
We'd love to talk about the writing and the casting process for the movie. How long did that take, the writing and the finalizing of the script, and then finding a group of people that wanted to do the movie? How long did that take?
So I started working on the script with my colleague Emma Wees, who's also a writer from my university, I think in fall time of 2023. And then we wrote a script that was like 40 pages long, and it's like the whole story. So the two characters meet and then, you know, they evolve and yeah. And then we tried to get funding from our university to make this film, and it just wasn't possible. They were not able, or they didn't support us, unfortunately, because I'm also I'm like an editor, not a director, and usually they only support the directing students. So yeah, so we had this 40-page script, no money to make it possible. And then when we decided to make a shorter version and get all the money from like crowdfunding, I did like a shorter version. So about 17 pages, I think, was the final script. Yeah, so about the whole process took us a little over 2 years. And so the movie that we now made is actually just the beginning of the script that I actually want to do. So my dream would be to actually make this bigger project happen at some point as well, with more funding. So this is more like a proof of concept, you can say, and maybe we're able to show this to some production companies, and then maybe someone will be like, yay, that's great, please do a longer version. Yeah,
we've got to win the lottery, Gabby, to make the longer version happen.
Yeah, please.
Please, can we? Can we just?
Yes.
I'm so excited to see it. I've been watching the clips since the very beginning, since you began posting some of the clips and the behind the scenes stuff as well. I'm enthralled. I love it so much. The extras and the cast that you picked, are these all people that are in university with you, or is it friends that were just willing to be in the movie for their friend?
So basically a mix of everything. So when I started the casting process, like maybe 3 months before the shooting, I was scrolling all the casting websites. And I was just in general a bit anxious, because since we're in Germany, the script is written in English, I want the whole film to be in English. I knew that it would be hard to, first of all, find people who are a native speaker or don't have like the biggest German accent. And also people who can portray or play or act, you know, as people would have acted in the 1940s, which is a total different thing from what you would do nowadays. So yeah, I had problems to find people. So then I was like, okay, maybe that's not the way. Maybe I need to actually look around me. And so when I started the script 2 years ago, I already had someone in mind for one of the leading roles. And that was Henry de Winter. He's like a 1930s performer and singer from Germany, pretty known also in the vintage community here. And I just always, when I saw him at like these events, I was like, that's actually my Robert Hayes, you know, which is the name of the character. Yeah. He's so perfect for this. So I actually already asked him like 2 years ago, yeah, do you actually act? Do you like to act? Is that something you would be interested in? Because I have this film project in mind and I would love to do it. And I feel like you would be the perfect fit. Maybe we could get together. You could read me some lines, And I met him maybe twice and I talked to him about it. And then 2 years afterwards, right before I started the pre-production, I met him again at last New Year's, at a vintage party, and he was just grabbing me and throwing me around on the dance floor, and he was like, "So Emilia, I remember 2 years ago you asked me to be in your film. How's it going? I would still love to be part of it." He's like this very eccentric guy. He's so fun.
Amazing.
Oh my
I was like, yeah, actually, you know what? I want to make this happen the coming years. So yeah, I would love to get together, and yeah. So then, after searching all the, actors on the websites, and I didn't really find anyone, I was like, okay, maybe I really need to go with Henry, because Henry, he's a performer, he's not an actor. So I was a bit like, you never know,
Right.
But then I just met him for a coffee, and just the whole way he carried himself, the way he spoke, I was just like, yeah, that's Robert Hayes. I don't need
Perfect.
to, search any further. So
Yeah,
that was
amazing.
great. And also because he already has a perfect wardrobe. He only dresses in 1930s fashion. And since the character he's portraying is a bit more old-fashioned, that's actually perfect, because then he can just wear his clothes. So that was amazing.
Hey, that helped. That's more helpful to you, right?
Yeah, definitely. And then I think I only found like one other person from the casting websites who's playing like a supporting role. One of my friends from France, who's also in the vintage community from France, Marvin, I asked him to play one of the supporting characters as well. So we flew into Berlin just for like one shooting day to do it, and it was also the perfect fit. And just other friends helped me out. And then the biggest part for me was to find the other leading character. So because in the film there's this like elderly gentleman, Robert Hayes, and then there's Loretta White. So they're both the leading characters. And I knew I wanted to cast a black woman for Loretta White. So I searched the websites, and I was already talking to some people. I was already casting people, but I didn't find anyone who was right for the role. And then also, the shooting just got, closer and closer. So I began to panic a bit, since this was really important. And then it was David, who's writing the music, who just encouraged me and was like, you know what? I always saw you as the leading character. Why don't you do it? Like, you shouldn't, search any further. You're Loretta White, actually. And I was like, even though I was a theater kid in school, and I would love to get into acting more, I was just very anxious because it was my first time directing. And then just acting and also being like the main, character felt too much for me. So at first I was like, no. But then in the end, there was no other option because I couldn't find anyone else. And the clothes already fit me perfectly because they were my own.
Exactly.
Yeah. And so that's how I got to also play the main role, or one of the main roles in the film.
I love
I love that.
That's amazing.
That's
very,
fantastic.
very cool.
I also love that your friend David, who's writing the music for the film, appears with his band in the film. Now, does he appear like as himself or as a character name? Because I know in the 30s and 40s, Winnie, am I right or wrong here? A lot of popular musicians like Cab Calloway, Louis Armstrong would appear with their full band as themselves in a movie.
Themselves, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No. So
yeah.
he doesn't appear as himself, but the role still is very much inspired by him. Like when I wrote the role, I was like, yeah, that's basically him. I'm just going to give him a different name, to fit the story more and everything.
Yeah. So just be yourself, but we're just going to call you something different.
Exactly. That's how it went down.
Do you have a favorite scene or a favorite part of the movie that you can't wait for people to watch?
I think, yes. I think my favorite scene has always been, even also in the longer version, has always been the like music club scene. We have like one scene, it's also the longest scene. I think it's like maybe 5 or 6 minutes. So we're like 1/3 of the film. And there's so much happening at once in the scene. We have like the band, we have swing dances, which I'm so happy that we were able to get swing dancers to do this. And then we have the main characters meeting for the first time. So we get to see them meeting, and they don't really get along, which is funny.
Love that.
And there's just the music, the glamour. We were able to film this at a historical ballroom, so it really looks like a club from the 1940s. The whole atmosphere. Yeah, that's definitely my favorite scene, I would say. Yeah.
It's already so immersive, and whenever you guys pop up on our feed, I find that we are, whatever we're doing, we drop it to watch a clip that pops up.
Sweet.
We're so invested and so enthralled and so excited to watch what you guys have done. When will it be released to the general public, and how would we be able to watch it?
That's a good question. So we hope to finish the film around November this year. So definitely this year. And then we would love to do festivals, of course, if that's possible. So I have to see, probably if we do like a festival run, we are not able to really release it before that, I think. But I'm not sure, I have to see. But I definitely want people, you know, who cannot go to festivals be able to see it. So I will definitely figure something out. I will do one Berlin premiere for everyone who wants to come. And we'll definitely post about this as well on our Instagram. Yeah, so let's see where this is going.
I'm very
buying my
excited.
ticket to Berlin now.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Let us know when it's out and we are there.
Yes.
Again, so super excited to see it. Guys, if you aren't following Music Maestro, please, on Instagram, go do it. You will also find yourself completely enthralled and enveloped in this incredible world that Emilia and her friends have created. It's such an important thing to do and such an important movie, and I feel like if it had been made at the time, if it had been allowed to, it would have been a complete hit, especially I think for guys overseas wanting a taste of home and getting a movie, you know, wherever they're stationed during the war. So I think, you know, it would have been an excellent addition.
It's important. It is. I think it's important, to kind of keep these types of films alive. Like they should not have just died out with the time.
Yeah.
You know, where we could say, oh, we have to go back and watch an old movie. You know, you could watch a movie made today that channels the time. But I think that, you know, given the fact that it's non-segregated and a lot of the time, almost all of the time, especially in America, was segregated.
Yeah.
You found less of it, obviously, when you went, you know, over to France and England.
Yeah.
But it's just, I think it's just very important, especially given the climate of the world today.
Agreed.
That we kind of remind ourselves that you know, there should be no black or white, no yes or no on entertainment or anything like that. This is to make you feel good. So why put a damper on something that makes people feel good?
Yeah.
Exactly agree. I think that is a really great note to wrap up on. This has been so much fun. Thank you, Emilia, for joining us, and we're so excited to see the final product.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course, and please let us know when everything is finalized and done, so that we can get on a plane and get to Berlin to come watch this fantastic movie. We're so excited.
I would be so thrilled. Thank you so much.
We would love to. Yes, and guys, make sure you're following Emilia and Music Maestro, please, on Instagram, because this is definitely something you do not want to miss.
Agreed. Thank you, everyone, for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
happens when a traditional theater director and an uprising musical star need to see eye to eye. Music, Maestro, Please, a mighty musical comedy reflecting the dazzling melody of the golden age of Hollywood. Coming to your theater soon.